Welcome to Working Women Mentor, a podcast for women in business with a mentor mindset. If you're working on a business or in one, you'll meet women here who you want to learn from and that will inspire mentor moments in your life. Let's dive in and share stories, experiences, and mentor moments with these fabulous women. Here's your host, Rani Alfers.
Hi, everyone. Today, our guest is Christy McDonald. She is a serial entrepreneur with over 20 years in the education field, a master's level reading specialist, and founder of the eTeacher app. eTeacher app connects students and parents to teachers and tutoring in their area for direct in-person or virtual learning. Building a community through innovation is Christy's specialty. She's also the co-director of Boss Talks in Dallas and the owner of Sip and Shop Texas. You're going to love her. Christy, I'm so excited to talk with you today because your app has finally launched. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and talk to you as well and be able to tell people about it and promote it because, like you said, it has been a long journey, but here we are. We are launched and ready to go.
Here we are. All right. Well, let's dive right in, Christy. So what is so impressive is that you had this idea for a teaching app and to help both the teachers and parents from both sides. And this has been about a year or so journey, right? A year and a half in the making?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you started a year and a half ago around that COVID area, and here you are today. And what has that been like from you from the idea of having it to literally looking at it in the App Store on Apple?
It is still mind-blowing. I know I'm driving my family crazy. Like I will still randomly send the link from the App Store to my mom, look, do you know I have an app? Do you know I have an app? But it has been a long journey and it has been a process, especially with COVID on top of it. But that's kind of what started the whole idea. I have been in education for about 20 years. I was a regular classroom teacher most of that time. And then I became a reading specialist. I started working with students with dyslexia and learning disorders. And I started doing that more on a one-on-one setting instead of in a general classroom. So the town that I'm in, my calendar was pretty full. And then COVID hit. So we had all of these parents who still needed to be at work, but they needed someone to be teaching their kids. And so I really just got too overwhelmed with people that needed what I was giving. And at the same time, I had this huge audience of teachers that wanted to know how to do what I'm doing. Because the great thing about private teaching or private tutoring, which the public education system doesn't like to talk about, but hourly, I make about double what a classroom teacher does, and I get to set my own hours.
Well, nothing better than that.
Right.
I can see that as a driving factor.
So, and I've been very successful doing it, and the people I'm surrounded with are other tutors and private teachers and specialists that have been very successful doing it as well. So we started talking about this idea to build a platform to connect those two groups. Here are the groups of people that want to help and want to be available to teach your kids. And here are the groups of people that need that help and need teachers so they can stay in the workforce. Or even just get their student caught up, because it's been such a rough 2 years. Even if there's, absolutely nothing wrong with your kid, no learning disabilities, no challenges at all, kids are still falling behind just because it's been so stressful for them and it's been such a big change for them. The teachers have had such a hard time. The students have had such a hard time. And now we're to this point where we're at the end of the school year. It's time to move on to the next grade level. And almost none of the kids I work with are ready to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's important to, have access to those private teachers and private tutors as well.
So in your own words, Christy, tell me what eTeacher app is all about.
So eTeacher app is designed to be a very simple platform to help students and parents find the resources that they need to be successful. Whether that is you need a private tutor, you need a private teacher, or a specialist, we have categories for all of those on the app. We have people right now in New York and California and Texas and anywhere in between. We have people on there that are math tutors. We have behavior specialists. It was really just designed so teachers could be the most successful and happy teaching what it is that they love and what they're passionate about. And at the same time, super easy for parents to get on there and find out who those teachers are.
Well, and even the students out there that aren't struggling or aren't stressed out, and they are still, I find, not as challenged as they would be if they were to be in that classroom or around everyone else. I feel like the level of difficulty and the workload has decreased. And I'm speaking, my son, he's 9, but he's not challenged, right? And so that is where I will be on your eTeacher app looking for someone to work with him to get him ahead of things, get him ready for the next school year. But Chrissy, so okay, you had you had the need, you had the demand, you have people out there like me, like everyone listening to us that might want to find a teacher, a tutor, a specialist in some way. But where did it go from platform to an app? I mean, how did you find a company to help you with this? Can you give us some steps or some advice on how to take an idea to build an app?
Yeah, actually, one of the best bits of advice I've gotten during this whole thing is ask the people that you know. You know somebody that knows how to do it. And I know we so often see those Facebook posts that, does anybody know a good plumber? Does anybody know a good, person to do this or do that? And that's kind of how it started. I found out I did have several friends that had known people that had developed apps and were able to give me some direction when it came to that. And then I started basically interviewing app companies, just like you would any job or anything. And I would give them my little pitch. They would give me their little pitch. And I did that for maybe a month or two to find a company that I felt like would be the one that I wanted to work with the most. And it is an interesting story, but as we got closer to having something finished, they would do a third of the project. I would pay them for that. It would get approved. Everything's exactly the way you want it. Then we would go to the next phase and the next phase. And as we started getting closer to the end and they really started seeing the potential, they suddenly went from what they had quoted me to they upped the price 7 times. They
7
went.
times. Did they see the potential, I'm assuming, and then thought, oh, we want more from this, or did it just require more work? Or that's a big sticker shock.
No, it was the potential, because I had, everything that we'd done with them up until that point in writing and the quotes and how much I owe them. And so, I was expecting to finish it, pay them $10,000, and they come back and they say, we want $70,000 to finish it. So I started, why? Like, this is what we have agreed on. This is what we've all signed on. You can't just go up that much. And they told me, well, this app's going to be really easy for you to get investors. So we need you to bring us more money.
It sounds like they're holding it hostage. It's a hostage situation.
Well, it kind of was. And so what I did was, and I was mad and I was so close to the end. And I don't think it's my job to bring them money outside of what we agreed on. So I started researching everyone that had worked on the app and found the guy that designed it, that was the designer working on it. And I mean, I just sent him a message privately and said, I will give you this much money to finish it. And he did.
You
So,
have to be resourceful, don't you?
right. And I think that's part of it. Because you hear about a lot of people, especially when you start, there are a lot of people that, not necessarily to be discouraging, but they tell you, oh, I know a girl that tried to start an app and she never got it finished. Or, when you get started, it's a lot more than you think it's going to be. And it's just, there are a lot of stories of people that have these great ideas that don't finish them. And I had gotten to that point and I had gotten so far. And with them doing that, to me, it was kind of validation that this is going to work. People need this. So I was determined to find another way to keep it going.
Well, determination has you where you are now. And I'm so thankful that this gentleman agreed to finish this project because, whenever you are vetting a company, how you said, I went there, I gave them my pitch, they gave me their pitch. What should someone look for in a company that they're working with to develop their, how would I interview them? Is it simply based on their process, their price, their specialty?
Yes, and ask to see other projects that they've done. What have you done? Past clients should be able to tell you they should have good reviews, they should have references. Exactly the same thing as if you were hiring someone for a job. You're paying someone a lot of money to do this. You should be able to extensively research them just as easy as you would if you were hiring someone.
And you would think that if I were designing an app, if I were them, I mean, go look in the app store. It would be a pleasure to point you to the finished product of other, of clients that they have. Is that in most instances what they do?
Yes, yeah, there are a lot of people that you can do that. There are a lot of companies that very upfront, give you the list of people that we worked with. Um, but the app process is interesting because they also, the very first step is that they will research your idea and then compare it to what's on the market that's similar to that. Um, and so when we even got to that phase and they came back and they said, there's no one else out there doing this, um, their numbers started going up, which is exactly why we needed to do it, because there was no one else out there doing it. So, yeah, you can look at their past. And I do think it's important to find a company that aligns with your values, and maybe the apps that they've made in the past align with what you're trying to do now, even though they're not exactly the same, similar things.
Well, you have great advice on how to find a company to build an app because there are so many barriers that people assume. One, it's too expensive. Two, like we've already addressed, where do you start? How, are they a partner with me? How do I get the design piece? Because you might have an idea, but you don't know what it should visually look like. And that's really where they are there to help you. But the one thing I hear the most is cost, plain and simple. But someone has an idea, but they don't think they can really afford to design an app. And there are a lot of apps out there that, let's face it, they aren't great. So,
Right.
No one's heard of them. There are plenty of them in the store. How do you feel about that process? I'm curious what the design look and feel is like for you.
I was very hands-on in that part of it, because I did want something just very clean and simple. And our big push when we start promoting it is going to be how easy it is to use. As a parent, you will get on there, tell us what you need, and a list of people are going to pop up. It's that easy. You can filter and then search by your zip code, search if you want in person or virtual. But the whole idea behind it was just to make it super easy, super functional, not a lot of unnecessary steps, just as easy as it could be to get these people connected to the people that they needed. And realistically, there are other apps that connect groups of people. Dating apps connect groups of people. There are networking apps that connect groups of people. So going in, I had kind of an idea of, I want to pick, these parts from this app and these parts from this app, these colors and these designs. And we went back and forth several weeks, I would say 5 or 6 weeks, creating some different designs and what the different screens would look like. So that was actually a very fun, like hands-on part to where when you download the app now, everything you see, like I actually got to design it, and then they had to figure out how to make it work.
That, but I wouldn't have any feedback. So the fact that you did have some design, that's incredible. I mean, that is more of the essence of you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a creative than an
Technical
coder, but I'm learning.
Christy, I'm curious how you are a successful entrepreneur in your own right, not to even mention the app in all areas of your life. What has been one of the best investments you've made in yourself?
I think realizing that time is as much of an investment as money, and learning to allocate time to spend on yourself is just as important as it would be to spend money on something. I think we need to start seeing time as a really valuable investment, and you need to be investing that time in building yourself, more than money, more than anything. Just invest the time you need to do the things that you want to do. At the end of your life, nobody's going to regret not buying something, but you're going to regret not spending the time with the people that you loved. So when I started making my overall life plan, I'm one of those people that like to work backwards. For me, the reason I am striving to be successful is to have more time. So it was important for me to build in those blocks of time throughout the week and know I have an hour, this day to go get coffee with a friend. Or I used to sneak away to the movies, but we can't do that anymore. But I think just building in those breaks to really just take care of yourself and do what makes you happy is more important than anything that you would spend money on.
I would absolutely agree. Time, it's a very simple time is money, and it is nice to have the freedom to be able to spend it how you want to and with who it's important, whoever you want in your life around you. Even I find even listening to a podcast or music or a movie, if that's what you want to do, do it. Spend it how you want to, but don't abandon the priorities that will get you more time, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's very, very simple. Well, is there someone in your life, Christy, that has left a lasting impression and influence on you?
I had thought about that question a lot, and I think a lot of people go back to say their family. And my family was a bunch of entrepreneurs also. I come from a long line of self-employed people. But I did have a friend in the last few years that kind of showed me how to do things differently. Whereas I feel like my family were always self employed, but they were always, oh, you have to be at work and you have to struggle and you have to try harder. And this person more showed me if it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Find your purpose first and then find a way to make money at it. Because when those things all align, one of my favorite quotes said, aligned is the new hustle. But once you've really found your purpose, those doors do just kind of start opening for you. Things are going to happen for you when you're on the right track. So I think it's important to find those people that make success fun. And it's not just a struggle. It's not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, that's why we're all here.
Was the person that influenced you one person, or was it simply meeting other people with other ideas that showed you that, oh, wow, I really do have a passion for this, and I really want to be in this spot in 5, 10, 20 years?
Well, I think it was a combination. I mean, I had a person in particular in mind, and they did work hard. They worked very hard, but they also knew now it's time to take off and enjoy what I'm working so hard for. And I think that's just part of the success puzzle that so many people are missing.
Christy, do you have a mentor moment that you want to share with us?
A mentor moment. I am involved in this pretty amazing group I joined as a networking group, but Boss Talks, which is made for women entrepreneurs. And it was designed kind of at the start of the pandemic too, to help people step out of isolation and find other people. And I think you said how I always speak up and I ask the questions and I start these conversations and collaborations. A lot of that comes from them, just having a network to connect with. They have a group on Mondays that meets called Needs and Leads, and it's kind of exactly what you're saying. You know, a woman entrepreneur could hop on and say, I don't really know what I need, but here's where I am. What do I do now? And then you have this whole group nationwide that's done it and knows how to tell you what the next step is. So that's been very influential to me.
I'm so happy that you mentioned Boss Talks. We have an episode coming up with Boss Talks, so we'll dive into that more. But what an amazing group of women from around the country. I just absolutely love and adore what they offer and the mentorship that they give. And like you said, it's sometimes you don't, you can jump on these phone calls, you can ask for advice, you can reach out to the women in the network, and everybody's very open and helpful, and they want to give back.
Absolutely, they do. And I think that's what's been most surprising. And it's what I've learned. I mean, I love the most about the group because you see these women in these, super high positions. And we're talking about people that are best-selling authors or people that sell out, all of their events. And it's those people that are involved. You ask them a question and they tell you the best they know how to answer it. There's no hierarchy. It's just everyone's there to help each other. And that's what I really love about it.
Christy, what advice would you give other women in your industry? And when I say your industry, let's talk about teachers first. I mean, teachers have had such a difficult couple of years, as you mentioned, along with the students. What advice would you give to them today?
Just keep going. One of my favorite quotes that I live by is relax, nothing is under control. And I think as teachers and as women, we like to think that we're controlling things. But when you relax, do your best, have fun, do what you're supposed to do, and then let the higher powers take over. Things are going to work out better than you could have done by yourself. So that's what I love. I tell myself that 100 times a day. Relax. Nothing is under control. We just think we control things, but we don't. And just take that pressure off yourself. You're here to have fun. Classrooms are very, very hard, but they're also these amazing places, with lots of little kids that love you and they're just hanging on your every word and they're ready to have fun too. And if you have fun with them, they'll have fun back.
Well, when I think of being a teacher, it is really this in its simple form. It is helping someone, teaching them how to do it. It's a part of a mentor to that person. I can think of teachers in my elementary that I still remember to this day, not necessarily what they taught me, but who they were as a person and how they treated me. There's so many ways that a teacher can influence someone. And it's an interesting role. And I think that a lot of parents or, even students don't even understand how good they have it when they are around someone that's treating them well, that's helping them, that's seeing them for who they are.
Oh, absolutely. I have some, former students always come back or their parents. I always taught really young grades, kindergarten, first grade. And I still to this day have parents of kids that, I've taught 10 years ago that will send me just the most random thing. And then they'll say, well, I know Miss Christy would be really proud of me.
Aww, that has to be rewarding.
That always makes me feel good. But I think, a classroom is a situation where you may not always feel like it, but the love and inspiration that you give out, it does all come back to you.
It does. Christy, have you read anything recently that you have loved? Or is there any book that you're reading right now that has influenced you?
Actually, the book I loved, on my Amazon list, I've sent this book to everyone. I think there is a book by Lisa Turkhurst, I think it's her name, and it is called Uninvited: Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. And it's focused towards women, but we all have those moments where we feel not good enough, or we feel left out, or our feelings have been hurt. But this book, Uninvited, it just takes a new perspective on that and how to switch those gears in your mind to think of something better. Because I know we always hear that, but there's never any, well, just don't think that. Think this way instead. But there's never any practical, but what do I actually do? And this book is full of that. This is what you actually do. So it's called Uninvited: Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. And it has made a huge difference. And I have sent it to all of my friends.
I'm excited about that. It'll be on my Amazon Kindle shortly, and we'll also include the link in the show notes as well, so everyone can check it out. Christy, as the industry is changing for you and teachers, and the way that we're all going digital a whole lot more than we did before, how do you see the app evolving over the next 5 years?
I'm one of those people, and some people agree with this and some people don't, and that's fine. I don't think we're ever going back to normal. We are back in school. A lot of places are back in school full time, but there are some of the bigger districts around the metropolitan areas that are reporting up to 30 and 40% of their kids haven't returned yet because virtual works out better for them. And so I think in those situations, it's always going to be there as a benefit. But even, if kids go back to school full time, I think one thing that this has taught us over the last 2 years is parents working with their kids at home, really seeing what it's like to be a teacher, really seeing, like you were talking about your son being so far ahead of everyone else. And whether it is that your student is so far ahead or so far behind, I think you start to see them as individuals. And it's, not a whole classroom to think about anymore. It is all one-on-one. And I think not even for school, I think businesses are going to have to go more one-on-one too. So I do see it growing over time because I think it's going to be something we're going to need in this next step in the education field. But as the world changes, because of this too.
Isn't it hard to believe that you finished the app, it's launched, it's active, it's growing, and then I'm simply asking you what's next? What's next is to breathe, Rani. I just want to breathe.
Yes, it really, really is, though. It's so exciting to me every morning because even though it's launched and it's out there, I am still 100% involved all day long, every day. If I get someone new signed up on the app, I call them personally, this is what we do. What do you need from us? Because it really is designed from the teacher point of view. I want to help as many people as I can. I know teachers are stressed out. I've been there. And I think creating that group and that community, we can all really help each other. So it's important to me. Like I reach out to everyone that's joined the app, whether it's a parent or a teacher, to see what they need and how we can help that.
You're very collaborative with what you do. You're always asking for advice. You even mentioned always, who do you know? Has anyone that I know, have they been here before? And you speak up. And I think that is a great takeaway from our conversation as well, because sometimes we don't want to speak up. The idea may be buried in your head. You're not sure how to describe it. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask, Christy.
Absolutely.
But you do. And I think you're encouraging of that. And even if you ask someone, I don't even know how to ask you this, but, and drop a few words in there, you'll find often, like you said, people want to help.
We are much more alike than we are different. If we take the time to have those conversations, we find that out very quickly.
What have you learned from the teachers on the teaching side that you've enrolled with the app? Have they come up with any ideas for you or any suggestions? I imagine this period of time is all about feedback, as you mentioned, calling and checking in on people. What has been a piece of advice they've given you?
The teachers on the app are ready to work. And I know we hear this now so much. The teachers are overworked. They're doing virtual by themselves. They're doing it in the classroom. They really have 2 or 3 jobs happening this year at the same time. It is such a special group of people that we have on the app right now. They're there and they're ready to work. If anything, the things that they're talking about the most are, where do we find these groups of parents? Where do we find these students that need us? Because whether it be virtual or in person, we even have people on the app that have, real estate space available to hold small pods. So they could even do like a small group. And there's a lady on there that does that every now and then. She'll get on her Facebook and she'll say, okay, I have a space and I have a first grade teacher. Do I have 6 first grade students that want to come? And it fills up so fast. But I think it is important. That's the biggest conversation we're having from the teacher point of view, is that they're ready to go. Because, we kind of take out all of the politics. We take out all this is what you have to teach and how you have to teach it, and just give you the freedom to teach what you're good at, what you love. And that it just brings so much excitement back to it.
Well, and from the parent's perspective, I wonder how that feels, because if I'm meeting with a teacher and we're talking about, well, I'm interested in him learning in this area, and the teacher can work with the parent to, it sounds like, almost create a curriculum or create some areas of focus for that student, versus dropping your kid off in the morning and, hey, hope they teach you something. And I don't know what they're teaching you today, and I don't know if it's relevant, but, we'll see you at 3 p.m. And so I like that this is can be a more individualized, as you say, and focused on the strengths of the student as well. And I think parents feel good when they can give some input on what their kids learn. I mean, we're always teaching our kids everything we possibly can, whether we know it or not. But when it comes to an education, I haven't had a lot of input in what he learns on a daily basis in my own experience.
Right. And I think a lot of the teachers in a classroom feel the same way too. They know what's important and they know what they would like to teach, but that's not necessarily an option. And that, I think the importance in that comes in with the way to best educate a student is get them really involved in something that they're interested in. But following just a regular classroom curriculum, you're not always able to do that.
And that makes sense. It really does. And that's where eTeacher app comes in, Christy.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can really personalize it. You know what's important to them. You know what they like to do. And we do. I mean, we have, there's a physics specialist on there that's what he wants to teach. So really, I mean, you can get on there and find just about anything that you need.
I love that. Well, the world is going to be a much happier place, and so are parents and teachers, all because of you. So a huge congratulations for that. And you have so much will and determination. It's impressive.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and sharing this story. And I do hope it gets out there and helps a lot of people.
So didn't I say that you would love this lady? Christy McDonald is determination. She is reaching out to people. And in 18 months or less, she took the idea to the App Store. And that's impressive. In that same spirit, Christy really supports teachers and students in our communities all over the U.S., and she's volunteered a giveaway of 2 memberships to eTeacher app. I'm so excited about this. There will be more details in our show notes and also on my Instagram at Rani Alfers. If you'll screenshot listening to this episode, Working Women Mentor, tag in at eTeacher app, at Rani Alfers, and at your favorite teacher that you have in mind that might want to focus on individualized
learning for students, or know someone who does. We'll have a drawing and give away 2 memberships, and I'm very excited about that. Also, if you have mentor moments to share, please reach out. I know I've heard from so many women, and I'd love to feature you either in our microcast or our episodes. What's so fun connecting is that we're all alike. We have a lot of similarities, and really we depend on other women, their advice, opinions, and what we can learn from each other. Please also follow us on Apple or whatever platform you're listening to your podcast. Leave a review that tells everybody that someone is listening and we're growing, and this is so exciting. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you next time on Working Women Mentor. I'm Rani Alfers.